What is it about the supernatural that's captivated us for generations? Is it the mysterious allure of the unknown? The heart-pounding thrill of an unexplainable sighting? Or the creeping fear that a life-changing encounter could happen to you? Sightings is the new series that puts you at the center of the world's strangest unexplained events, from Roswell to Amityville to Loch Ness and beyond. Each episode combines a never-before-heard story of an infamous supernatural encounter with mind-bending investigations that will leave you questioning what's real and what's impossible. Enter the unexplained with Sightings, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Scary Shorties wouldn't exist without you, the fans. Please like and follow us on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen, and share the show with your friends to help us grow. Thanks, guys. Cades Coil, written by S. Pony Hill, read by Drew Grimm. The bedroom of the old farmhouse was cloaked in darkness, the air brittle with winter cold. Only the harsh artificial light from the 2 tripod-mounted lamps cut through the shadows, revealing a man seated directly in front of a camera on a stand. Dr. Thomas Cade, early 50s, with an unshaven face and the look of an everyman who could vanish in a crowd, sat stiffly in a wool pea coat, gloves, and beanie. His breath rose in small puffs of vapor as he held a folded newspaper article in one hand. Behind him loomed a bizarre contraption of glass coils, copper wires, computer monitors, and dials, a machine that hummed faintly with dormant potential. Dr. Cade wasn't alone. A woman, Sarah, also bundled against the cold, leaned in to clip a microphone onto his lapel, while Paul, a young man not yet of drinking age, in a hoodie emblazed with the mascot of his state's college, adjusted the lights. "Okay, Doc, let's give it a test," Sarah said. Cade shifted uncomfortably in his seat, uncertain if the camera or Sarah's closeness was the cause. What should I?" Dr. Cade asked. "Anything. We just need a base level, Doctor," Sarah instructed. "Okay," Dr. Cade replied. He cleared his throat before speaking clearly. 77 malevolent elephants, Dr. Cade recited. Sarah and Paul both stepped out of frame. "Again, please, Doctor," Sarah prompted. 77 malevolent elephants, Dr. Cade repeated. There was a pause, the sound of someone moving equipment just off camera. Cade shifted again. "Okay, I think we're good, Doctor. Are you ready?" Sarah asked. Please, call me Thomas or, Tom, please, just Tom," Dr. Cade stuttered, almost embarrassed. "Okay, Tom. Are you ready?" Sarah replied again. Cade adjusted his coat and then nodded. He was ready. "Okay, we are rolling. I guess the best way to start would be for you to introduce yourself," Sarah prompted Dr. Cade. "Right. Okay. Well, my name is Thomas Cade. I guess I should give my credentials?" "Sure," Sarah agreed. Dr. Cade straightened and began listing his credentials. Yale graduate, worked for a think tank in Paris, studying quantum behaviors of electrons in quantum wells. Research staff at Bell Laboratories, studying F-electron compounds in extreme magnetic fields. He worked at a pulse magnetic laboratory at Los Alamos. And finally, he was the director of research at a high magnetic laboratory tied to a major university. I unequivocally state for the record that this experiment is wholly and entirely outside the duties and responsibilities of my employed position. This is not sanctioned or associated with any laboratory, facility, or university. This is entirely my own personal experiment, and I take full responsibility," Dr. Cade said sternly.
"We got it, Doc,"
Sarah replied, rolling her finger in the air to express, "Keep it rolling." Dr. Cade leaned back in the chair, relaxing slightly, though it was clear he had never done an on-camera interview before. Sarah gave him a prod.
"So, go ahead and describe what your experiment is about."
What started as a hesitant self-introduction soon unraveled into an impassioned lecture. Right. Okay. There is a physics theory known as inflation. This theory suggests that at the exact point of the creation of the known universe, when everything ever known was less than a second old, Cade held his hands out in front of him in a tight, unified fist. And that's when there was a period of rapid expansion. He exploded his hands open, fingers splayed outward. This was inflation. An extension of inflation is the multiverse theory, Dr. Cade explained.
"Hey, there's like some pretty popular movies out now about this kind of stuff,"
Paul interjected, and was rewarded with a dirty look from Sarah. Sarah chastised the student. No, he's right. He's exactly right. Just like in those movies, multiverse theory is that. In addition to our own universe with defined laws of physics, particles, forces that can be measured and observed, there are infinite multiverses existing parallel to our own. Universes with their own arrangement of forces and values, of fundamental constants. But, Dr. Cade affirmed. Cade held up a finger and wagged it at the camera. There are phenomena in our universe that we can't explain yet with any physics theory that we have yet to understand. Dark matter, black holes. There are many. He tucked the folded paper under his leg, reached into the pocket of his pea coat, and pulled out 2 plastic slinkies, one red, one blue. He held them side by side. Some believe that these universes exist separately from each other, and that the amount of energy it would take to get from one to the other would be so enormous, possibly equal to the power of the Big Bang itself, that it would be essentially impossible. Dr. Cade leaned forward, holding the 2 slinkies toward the camera. But I believe that these multiverses do not exist apart or separate. He began threading the red slinky into the blue, the coils interlocking. That these multiverses can exist in the same time and space. But what if the expression of inflation did not occur at the equal rate in all the places at one time? Therefore, fault lines, for a lack of a better word, shot out through all the multiverses at the moment of creation. Tiny cracks where energy can bleed from one universe to another. Anomalies of gravity, energy, maybe existence itself. Dr. Cade asked, his voice growing in excitement. He gestured back toward the contraption in the center of the room. Instead of a massive amount of power to blast a random pathway, my experiment is to focus a smaller amount of energy precisely at a fault line that we know exists, Dr. Cade explained.
"And you think one of these fault lines exists in this old farmhouse?"
Sarah asked. Yes, in this particular bedroom to be exact, Dr. Cade answered. Dr. Cade returned the slinky to his pocket and pulled the folded paper from under his leg. He unfolded it and held it up for the camera to see. It was a photocopy of an old faded newspaper. The headline read, "Child of German immigrants vanishes in the night." On January 21st of 1871, 9-year-old Greta Schwartz disappeared from this very bedroom at exactly 3:36 a.m., Dr. Cade explained, pointing to the headline.
Oh my God. You think this little girl was sucked into another universe?
Sarah asked, seeming genuinely concerned. Well, follow me here. Now, a child vanishing from her bedroom in 1871 doesn't exactly prove anything. She might have ran away. She could have been kidnapped. But this is what focused my attention, Dr. Cade said, turning the copied newspaper back to himself and reading a quote aloud. The constable also reported this information. In addition to the child, the heavy iron frame bed upon which she rested had also been taken from the upstairs bedroom in the dark of night without disturbing the slumber of the parents.
The kid and the bed?
Sarah asked. Yes, at the same time. Dr. Cade snapped his fingers for emphasis. Gone. Just like that.
That is weird,
Sarah retorted. We also know the exact time the fault occurred. The Schwartz family brought a grandfather clock with them from the old country. The clock stopping at exactly 3:36. All of its gears were mysteriously fused together.
So, is that why you're doing this experiment so late at night? You think these fault lines are time-sensitive?
Sarah asked. In layman's terms, yes. These tendrils extending out from the center of all creation, these cracks like a broken piece of glass, exist both in time and space. But they're also dependent on energy, Dr. Cade agreed.
Which is what this machine is for.
The Cade coil, Dr. Cade corrected.
Cade coil?
Sarah asked. An expression of hubris, I know, but that's what I named it, Dr. Cade responded, moderately embarrassed. He held up the newspaper once again, reading another excerpt. A storm of intense lightning prevented the father from an immediate search of the area. He folded the paper again. When these three factors coincide, space, time, and energy, a fault, a portal between universes can be accessed. Sarah finally understood Dr. Cade's goal.
And that's what you're hoping to prove with your experiment?
We will finally understand how 5 Navy bombers can simply vanish in midair, how an entire ship can disappear from Philadelphia and reappear in Norfolk, or how a 9-year-old child in her bed can vanish from a farmhouse bedroom. Space, time, energy. A weird thought snapped into Sarah's mind.
Okay, Doc, but you're not gonna turn on that machine and open a black hole and suck the entire Earth in, right?
A sly smirk tugged at Cade's mouth. Well, you never can tell. He let the moment hang before adding, No, I'm just joking. It's perfectly safe. I've cranked up the coils 100 times. Remember, it takes 3 factors: space, time, and energy.
Okay, Doc. It's a little after 3:30, so...
Sarah prompted the scientist. Oh, yes, of course, right, Dr. Cade responded. He rose from the chair, still holding the folded paper, and dragged the chair to rest in front of the machine. He laid the paper atop the cabinet of dials and circuitry, then resumed his seat. Dr. Cade turned on a computer monitor and typed in a few commands.
Psst, Paul, can you adjust the lights, please?
Sarah asked of her student intern. The lights shifted to better illuminate Dr. Cade and the machine, revealing more of the stark, weathered bedroom. Dr. Cade slowly pushed up a large lever. The machine hummed, its coils glowing. The camera lights dimmed. Whoa, Paul murmured, concerned at the technical difficulty. It's okay. It's perfectly normal. There's some drainage of environmental energy sources. It's perfectly normal, Dr. Cade explained. He checked his watch. finger hovering over a keyboard key. And mark! Cade pressed the key, and a digital timer appeared. 30 seconds. 29. Cade pushed the lever higher. The hum of the machine deepened. The glow intensified, until, suddenly, silence, a total absence of sound. Paul stepped into view, waving and pointing to his ears. Dr. Cade flashed an OK sign with the fingers of his hand, but kept his focus on the timer. 3, 2, 1. Flash. A blinding burst of white light. Then darkness. A shuffle of feet. Creak of the floorboards. "Sarah?" Paul called out into the black. "Yeah, is that you, Paul?" Sarah answered. "Yeah, it's me," Paul said with a tinge of fear in his voice. There was a click-click sound. Then Paul spoke again. "Sarah, the lights are shot." A pop of light from Sarah's phone flashlight revealed Paul tinkering with the dead studio light. "Yeah, it's toast," Paul said, fearing he would get blamed for the damage to the expensive equipment. Sarah swung her phone flashlight beam toward the machine, and she gasped in shock. Where Cade's chair had been now stood a wrought iron bed. On it sat a girl, dressed in a nightgown, blonde hair peeking out from under her nightcap. She spoke a language Sarah didn't understand, but knew was German. Paul turned at the unfamiliar voice and screamed. The girl screamed too, high-pitched and terrified. Sarah rushed to her, sitting on the bed. "Shh, it's okay. It's okay." Sarah tried to calm the girl. The girl spoke, more German, but Sarah didn't understand what she was saying. Paul activated his own phone light. "What the hell happened? Where's Dr. Cade?" It seemed the girl's panic was contagious. Paul stepped over and inspected the smoking machine. Only the folded paper remained, resting atop the bank of dials, gauges, and levers. Paul picked up the paper, unfolded it, and his eyes grew wide. Sarah? You gotta see this," Paul stammered. He handed her the paper. Sarah looked at the paper. It now had a new headline. "Daughter of German immigrants kidnapped. Father stabbed stranger discovered in child's bedroom. Location of girl may have died with mysterious intruder." Paul swept his flashlight beam across the room. "Holy, Sarah, do you think?" There's no way. That's not possible." The impossibility, but also the inescapable possibility flooded Sarah's mind. Paul put his hands on his head. "No freaking way, man. No freaking way." A spark and arc of electricity from the machine. Somehow, even without Dr. Cade's hands on the controls, the coils began to glow once more. Sarah rose from the bed. Paul lunged for the controls. "Oh my God, Paul, turn it off! Turn it off!" Sarah shouted. The hum grew louder, the glow brighter. The bubble of silence fell over them once again. Sarah swallowed hard. Sarah and Paul shouted unheard words. Paul began frantically kicking the machine. There was a flash, another blinding burst of white light, and then nothing. The upstairs farmhouse bedroom remained completely dark for many hours. There was no moon that night to gently filter light in through the single window and reveal any clues to what had happened. Only the occasional call of a barn owl or the subtle creak of weathered wood gave a hint that time and life indeed continued to go on. Gradually the sky lightened toward the east, and the sun rose to melt the frost that had gripped the forest around the abandoned house. The faint outlines of the tripod-mounted lights, the camera still passively recording, and the machine of glass, coil, copper wires, computer monitors, and dials gradually became visible once more. There was no rolling office chair that Dr. Cade had sat in. There was no black iron bed upon which little Greta and Sarah had perched before the flash. Not a living soul. Nothing lingered in the stark bedroom to breathe the crisp morning air. Only Cades' coil remained, the silent camera cruelly recording the event so that others may follow.